Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience, and welcome to the webinar titled The Future of Oracle Clinical Remote Data Capture and Thesaurus Management System, presented by BioPharm Systems Director of Client Relations, Vicki Green, and Director of Product Strategy from Oracle, Chris Wong. I'm Eugene Sepinoff, the Marketing Manager at BioPharm, and I will go over some housekeeping items before I turn it over to Vicki and Chris. During the presentation, all participants will be in listen-only mode. However, you may submit questions to the speakers at any time today by typing them in the chat feature located on the left side of your screen. Please note that other webinar participants will not see your questions or comments. Nonetheless, your questions to the speakers will be addressed as time allows towards the end of the presentation. If you still have unanswered questions after the webinar or would like to request information from BioPharm or Oracle, feel free to visit the company's website for contact information. As a reminder, today's webinar is being recorded and will be posted on BioPharm's website within 24 hours. We will also be emailing you a link to the recording. This concludes our housekeeping items. I would now like to turn the call over to Vicki and Chris.
Our session today. We're going to do welcome, so Chris and I will introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about ourselves. Then I'll go through a brief set of introductory slides. Also, we're going to be discussing the OCRDC products based on what Oracle has currently released and what is out there. Then we will also talk a little bit about the future plans for the releases, and we'll share a bit about the strategic development program that Oracle has established and been working with a number of companies to get the requirements for the next releases. Naturally, these releases that we'll go through and talk a little bit about will be the Amber release, which is the 5.0 release. We'll kind of go through a summary of information about that release, features, and also technology. And then the last kind of section that we'll go through is talking a little bit about the roadmap for these products going forward. And then, as Eugene mentioned at the end, we'll do a question and answer session. Again, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can, but don't worry, we'll definitely follow up with you. And then afterwards, if there's any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. So for those of you that don't know me, or if not, I have not had the pleasure of working with over the years, I'm Vicki Greene, and I'm the Director of Client Relations here at BioPharm. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. My career started with CROs, was with CROs for about 15 years, and then from there I went into the consulting arena. I've been with BioPharm for about 3.5 years, and here at BioPharm I'm responsible for working very closely with our OCRDC TMS customers. That would be our existing customers and any new customers around business development related items, but also I work very closely with our BioPharm hosting and support customers on getting them up and going, and then also working very closely with them as they move forward with their journey with these products as we continue to partner with these products with these customers. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to turn it over to Chris to introduce himself, tell you a little bit about himself. I will come back and go through just a couple of additional slides, and then I'm going to turn it right over to Chris. I really want to say thank you for everybody that is attending the webinar today. I know that everybody's very busy, and Chris and I are very, very excited about holding this session, as we've spoken to many of you personally, to you or your organizations about these products, and we're very excited to show you and tell you about the commitment that Oracle has along with BioPharm to these products. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you to tell a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Vicki, and hello, everyone. Again, as Vicki mentioned, my name is Chris Huang, and I'm Director of Product Strategy at Oracle Health Sciences Business Unit. And so I've been in the industry for over 20 years. Started in data management at Sandoz Pharmaceuticals in the early 90s. Then went on to work at BBN, which eventually evolved into like Domain, and then eventually got acquired by Phase Forward and then onto Oracle. Within Oracle, I've been at Oracle for a little over 11 years now. 8 years or so as a solutions consultant doing demonstrations of products. I've probably met quite a few of you over the years. And then in the past 3+ years, actually been, again, working in product strategy with responsibility for OCRDC TMS, and acting as the lead strategist, really acting as sort of the product owner and sort of defining the vision and guiding the development of the product.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So just to let you know, naturally, as many of you know, Oracle and BioPharm have a very strong partnership. We've been partners with Oracle since 1995. BioPharm is a gold partner of Oracle, and that is very important to us as today we've worked very closely with Chris to hold this session as we work with many of our customers, and they want to know about what's happening with this product. Is Oracle committed to them? Also, it allows us to resell Oracle licenses, not only perpetual licenses to customers, but also under the BPS program that we've been doing for several years now. Also, naturally, we do a lot of implementations and upgrades for people, and we also have accelerators that we have out there for the products. Now, a lot of you that we work with and some of you who may be new, naturally we do offer services around implementations and upgrades, application support. We have our experts within our data management group here, our practice, that does a lot of study setup for customers and training. So there's a wide variety of services that we also offer around these products and are still committed to offering these products and services. We've also, over the years, added many products that will enhance the OCRDC TMS products as we work with customers and kind of learn a little bit about what their struggles are and what they need. Some of those around validation packages to help with validation. Naturally, that's a very costly thing, so we try to come up with things to help our customers. Some of our new products, Excel Account Manager and Excel Copy. So naturally, as you can see, we're very committed to making sure we can offer additional solutions on top of these to help our customers. So what I'd like to do now is just go ahead and turn it over to Chris to talk a little bit more about the strategy and things that are coming up in the products. So we hope that you will get the information that you need today. So Chris, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you to get started.
Okay. Thanks again, Vicki. So I'll be basically taking us through the remainder of the slides, and I'm going to start really first to kind of just take a sort of like a retrospective view on some of the previous releases in the past few years, and take us right up to kind of today where we are with our current release. And then after that, focus on where we are, what we're working on today for the future release for the Amber release, which is this 5.0 release, as Vicki mentioned. Talk a bit about how we interact with our strategic development program. Show a summary of the Amber release. Kind of show some preview slides on the upcoming features, and then also talk about the technology stack of the upcoming release and upgrade paths. So if we go back to 2009, the 4.6 release was a very significant release. It was a lot of great functionality released in 4.6. Right at the top there is the support for flexible studies, the ability to handle multi-arm trials, allowing patients that go down to various paths within the study based upon the study design. So that required enhancements to our DCI book to be able to enable that, and also to introduce things like interval and DCI rules to dynamically enable and disable visits and pages, based upon, let's say, responses to a particular question as patients traverse through the actual study. Also, in the areas of productivity, just the multi-patient DCI book assignment feature, having access control at the DCI level, and then in terms of usability, for example, within a CRF to be able to have branching capabilities, conditional branching and indicator branching, be able to hide questions and also unhide them, preventing update to quote-unquote other types of discrepancies. And then also with 4.6, we started with a particular theme of scalability enhancements, which is something that we've been focusing on for consistently for the past few years, because as our customer base continues to expand and grow and use the application, the number of users, there's customers that are always pushing the envelope on scalability. So in the 4.6 release, we started with obviously some enhancements there around being able to support 24/7 data entry and batch validation, so that as the studies became very global in nature, the ability to enter data and also perform batch validation without failing, because let's say a CRF page is locked, is critical. So starting with there was the ability to be able to just perform data entry without having any worries about the batch validation jobs failing. Also, changes to the middle tier scalability, the ability to set up multiple JVMs and be able to scale that up very well. It was introduced with the 4.6 release. And then also better handling of just intermittent connections for the end user. So if there's a poor connection there, it'll detect it and it'll prompt the user if they want to try to reconnect. So it's handled much more gracefully. And as with any release, we're always looking at updating the technology stack. And then I like to refer to 2010 as really sort of like a certification release. After that major 4.6 release in 2010, we spent a lot of time in wanting to focus on a lot of sort of key technologies that our customers have been asking us to be able to certify against. So that list is shown there as like be able to certify against Oracle Virtual Machine, Active Data Guard for being able to enable disaster recovery. And then we introduced the Linux database in 2010, and then also just some certifications around the client. One new feature that we did introduce in 2010 against 4.6 was the actual extended text feature, and it was primarily driven by the need to be able to capture, let's say, SAE narratives, up to 10,000 characters. So we have customers that are capturing information in their CRF pages on their SAE page, for example, and then be able to send that to their safety system. Then in 2011, we released the 4.6.2 release. And with that, we also, again, continued with key certifications, moving from Windows 2003 to 2008 on the server there, and then also updating the application server to AS10 GR2 plus R3, and then incrementing the database versioning as well. We always do forward patching of fixes. One enhancement was actually introduced in the 4.6.2 release, which is what we refer to as the dynamic thesaurus DVG feature, which is really the ability to filter dynamically filter a thesaurus DVG pop-up based upon the study site combination. And then also restored replication. That's after the 4.6.2 release that we actually made a transition to more of a patch set approach for releasing patches, and there's various benefits to that. It makes by targeting quarterly patch sets, it makes when they're going to be coming out for customers to be more predictable, but also for us, it makes us be more efficient in that we can actually put out more patches in a patch set than in the previous ways in which we were just kind of putting them out one at a time or several at a time. We're able to patch things together and be more efficient in that way. So we can see that we're up to 4.6.6 now, and you can see the schedule in which we've had previous patch sets. Now we've kind of stop on passages for a moment as we focus on the Amber release, which is the 5.0 release, which I'm going to get into more in the upcoming slides. Just to kind of talk about some of the key strategy tenets that we want to focus on over the next year and a half to 2 years is continue staying customer driven. So continue to work closely with our very active strategic development partners in that particular program, and work with them in helping us to prioritize and to validate some of the key features that we're looking to provide in each release. So we've worked very closely with them for the upcoming Amber release, and we're going to continue working with them for the release afterwards. And then also, in working with them, we also like to, at key points within the release schedule, is to open it up to the broader community through OSUG. Presenting on the RDC focus group, as well as maybe the admin and config focus group meetings that occur on a monthly basis, to be able to get a broader feedback from them, and really to maintain that customer-driven approach. Also, it's very important to stay on top of the industry, so to be able to provide capabilities and to make the product more flexible and configurable, to be able to meet the needs of the industry. And a good example of that, obviously, the partial SDVs or target SDV capabilities that we're going to be releasing in the Amber release, and then continuing it in the follow-on release after that. I mentioned earlier, again, scalability is something that's very key to us as we work with some of our very large customers that look to be able to support, let's say, over 2,000 concurrent users within the system. So we want to be able to always look at technical and functional changes and enhancements to be able to support those sort of extreme deployments of OCRDC. And then lastly, usability, something that we want to be able to continue to enhance in the application for site users as well as sponsor users. And it's really by providing a greater user experience to result in higher productivity and satisfaction in the product. And I'll show you some examples of that that we're going to be providing in the Amber release. So on this next slide here, we talk about release themes. So now we're focusing on that Amber release, that 5.0 release that's going to be coming up. And with every release of our products, we always do try to identify some of the key themes. And a couple of the key themes that we have for the upcoming Amber release, again, is around maximum availability and scalability. So, in terms of availability, one of the areas is multi-browser support. To be able to support, Chrome and Firefox and Safari on an iPad. All of these things are going to be slated for the Amber release. And then as we do have customers that are running some of OCRDC on some of these very powerful Exadata database machines. These are very powerful machines that can provide that extreme performance. To be able to certify against that, and to be able to do that, we also want to be able to support RAC. So in doing so, I'll talk about some of the enhancements that we need to make in order to support clustering. Also, in terms of technology uptake, we're going to also move to the Fusion Middleware 11G. That also to the latest version of the database. And the database actually, depending upon the timing, we also may move to 12C, which is the latest version, depending upon its availability. And then on the second theme is around risk-based monitoring and regulatory compliance. So the partial SDV features is one of the key things that we're going to be providing in the Amber release to support reduced or risk-based monitoring, and also some enhancements around audit deletes and be able to of the hard deletes of study data. And I'll go a little bit more on that in the upcoming slides. So in the Amber release, and the next couple of slides kind of breaks up some of the key target features that we're planning based upon the different applications. So for RDC onsite, we're going to support partial source data verification, where you're going to be able to identify your critical DCIs and across the study, and also be able to set sort of like an auto select rate, and what the count of initial patients are, what the percentage or list of patients at each site requiring 100% SDV and so forth are going to be able to be performed in there. Another feature that we're adding, which I'll show you actually a preview of that with a screenshot of it, is a single patient casebook. So this is a really good example of we're working with our SVP partners, where one of our SVP partners really stated that that single patient casebook page or that view is their number one feature that's been requested by their end users. And it really, it's just exactly as it sounds, is the ability to kind of see all the different visits and pages and focusing on one patient at a time. So, that's going to provide a lot of usability. There's a lot of excitement with that new feature, and you'll see that in just a moment. Then around the verify and approval enhancements, we'll have the ability to have customizable inclusion-exclusion criteria in the group verify and approve dialogues. And also to focus on enhancements which is around sort of retaining the verify and approval status. So in examples where maybe you're making just a discrepancy update, where today it actually causes that those statuses to switch to requires re-verification approval. In the future, you have the ability to configure that where it won't change that. So to be able to provide additional productivity in those areas and enhance that area. On the TMS side, we're going to provide enhanced drug coding with WHO drug format C. So one key enhancement in that area is going to be around being able to pull in auxiliary information from, let's say, OCRDC questions and present that in the classify VTO mission screen, so you have that additional detail available. And I have a screenshot mock-up of that coming up, which you can see that. Also, for TMS, we're looking to support the sort of the new medicinal products dictionary, or IDMP. And although that's still probably a little bit ways away, we are in discussions with various regulatory agencies that are interested in potentially using TMS to be the repository maintenance application for IDMP. So therefore, we want to be able to make any types of necessary changes or testing that needs to be done to be able to support IDMP. Then on the OC side, so I mentioned earlier that we're looking to support RAC. So in being able to support RAC, one of the key things we need to be able to do is make some enhancements to PSUB. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is actually moving to store the .out and .log files into the database. And so also by being able to do that, if there is a particular failover, it's not dependent upon those types of accounts and files being on a specific node. We'll be able to then enable support for clustering and failover. In also doing this, we eliminate the requirement for having the actual OS level user accounts on the database server. Then one of the areas that we found out with interactions again with our SGPs that the actual delete study information feature is actually used quite a bit for within the system, and so they wanted to have ability to kind of audit that information, so to be able to audit those hard deletes. So we'll have new backup tables for that. Then in terms of new technologies, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have multi-browser support for RDC. makes it much more flexible to be able to obviously deploy to sites if they can use Firefox, Chrome, or even Safari for iOS. And obviously that'll be supporting on an iPad for data entry, but also even for a monitor to perform monitoring activities on an iPad. I mentioned earlier about move to Fusion middleware AS11G, and then also in terms of the at the database level to be able to upgrade from the 11G, from the 9i optimizer to the 11G optimizer. So the target technology slide here, it's actually a little bit out of date. I should have actually made some additional changes here that we'll likely be targeting also Windows 8 as well as IE 10 for the Amber release, as well as all the other different versions and browsers that are listed, new browsers are listed there. And then on the web server side, we'll be with Windows 2008 Service Pack 2. Again, Fusion middleware 11G. Version of the forms will be 11G as well. And then on the database side, we're going to be supporting Solaris 10 and 11, Oracle Enterprise Linux 5.8 and 6.2, Windows 2008 SP2, and then obviously RAC. On the database side, I mentioned earlier that at a minimum it'll be 11.203 with the 11G optimizer, but we are also potentially going to look at the 12C database as well. In terms of the upgrade paths, because of the fact that it is a AS11G middle tier now, it would be a new installation that would be required on that middle tier layer. Then on the database side, we're looking to support direct upgrades from any version of 4.6.0 through 4.6.6 up to Amber directly. So in the next few slides here, what I'd like to do is be able to kind of just give a preview. So I mean, for some of you folks that did attend some of the sessions in Monte Carlo, know that I think that many couldn't get out there. But we did show some of these particular previews of sort of like new user interface components and enhancements and some of the that we will take advantage of in AS11G. Also want to kind of show you the single patient casebook. Excuse me. Give a little sense of sort of the partial SDV through the feature known as the SDV Plan or verification plan, and then just show a quick screenshot on what the auxiliary information to be able to support TMS coding will look like. So in this first sort of mock-up or screenshot that we have here, what you'll see is that, first of all, some of the new Fusion UI components we'll be able to have is, you have the ability to do things like one-click icons for some of the common actions that will be available there, but you can also obviously use the drop-down from the actions to select other types of actions as well. Also, there'll be what we call link panels that can be collapsed or opened along the left-hand side that you see here. And one of the really nice features is obviously the ability to shift and control-click to select multiple rows and perform activities on multiple rows of patients or information. And then also, what's really nice, instead of having to actually page through, we have the continuous scrolling of horizontal and vertical scroll bars, which is really nice here. And these are all things that we see will be really nice enhancements that improve the overall experience of users using RDC on-site. A different view, which is a brand new view that I mentioned, is again the single patient casebook page, which again was something that a very highly sought after feature from one of our SDV partners. And I'm actually very excited when I actually had a chance to see this. One of the first things I'll mention up front is you can see that we'll have drill down links right there in the patient summary at the top there to go right to that for that particular patient. And then some of the, again, similar types of things that I mentioned earlier around one-click icons, the shift and control click for multiple rows, and then the scroll bars. But again, what you're seeing is for a single patient, focused on one patient based on whatever casebook selected. There are different visits going along the left-hand side column, and then the pages for that particular visit to be able to allow people to work on things, patient at a time, review information for a patient at a time. Really targeted for improving productivity at the site. Again, just a slide here just to kind of show one that we presented also at OSUG was just some new UI components that are going to be available in RDC OnSite. Is combo boxes will be available, and then interface will have what we call inline messages, where if you could provide some guidance, or you could be just some a quick little pop-up if something that was entered in that was an error. Help guide the user. Then also, the ability to also configure certain information or messages as a pop-up as well. Next, when we move on to, I'm going to move on to the next screenshot, which is actually what's known as sort of like the verification or SDV plan. So something that we're also going to have in the RDC OnSite interface is for the ability for whoever's responsible for defining the SDV plan to come in and be able to set up the SDV plan, and where they can specify which patients should be 100% SDV'd, what is the auto select rate, the count of initial patients, manually selected patients, or maybe even import a list. Might be something we'll be able to do. You can also identify the critical CRFs that must be SDV'd for all patients. So actually there's going to be two types of SDV plans. There's going to be sort of the patient SDV plan as well as the CRF SDV plan, and the ability to use either one or both. This particular screen here that you see, the SDV plan page, it's intended to be both for reporting as well as for defining what the SDV plan is going to be. Another quick shot of this is just within OC. We'll have the ability to maintain sort of at the global library level, and then also copy down to the study level, and obviously modify at this study level as well. But to be able to set the sort of default selections of what forms are targeted for partial SDV, and we'll see that you have a new column for SDV there within the global library. Then the last sort of mock-up or screenshot for the Amber release is related to TMS. So in the Amber release for TMS, this is just kind of showing for the classified VT omissions. We can see at the top there is the auxiliary information, and that information can be set up and passed over from the actual CRF form in OCRDC to provide additional information to aid in coding, to be able to get very accurate coding of your drugs in TMS. One of the things that I didn't mention earlier in previous slides, but just to mention is this new features, we're going to have the concept of also the ability to do what we call VTIs, or individualized verbatim terms. So whereas historically TMS has always been able to code things, to define VTAs and define things consistently within a particular domain. One feature that's been highly sought after is the ability to do sort of like a one-off coding, to be able to do individualized coding for a particular term in TMS. So that's going to be referred to as a VTI. So there's still going to be the concept of VTAs, but also we're going to introduce the concept of VTI. And as you would expect, a VTI would not be used as like a synonym for auto coding. So again, moving on to sort of the product roadmap here, just to kind of give it, again, a sort of a summary of, obviously 4.6.2 was the last sort of major release we delivered in April of 2011, and again was focused on certifications and one enhancement in restoring replication. And we just walked through what we're going to be targeting for the Amber release, the key targets in terms of some of the technology, the regulatory requirement enhancements, and then some of the additional enhancements that we just took a look at. So in the future, some of the things that we're looking to continue to do is well, first of all, partial SDV and Amber releases is we're going to start with the form level, and then in the follow-on release after Amber, post-Amber, we're going to continue that and look to extend that to the field level SDV. So it's very similar in the approach that Inform has taken. Inform in their 5.5 and in their upcoming release, they've taken the same approach where they start at the form level and then also got down to the field level for targeted SDV. In terms of other candidates that we're looking at, the things that have been brought up in the past is things like be able to have document attachments at the form or field level within RDC. Those could be things like DICOM images, or they could be just any type of document, supportive information that you want to be able to attach to it to a DCI. We're always looking at the technology stack and ways in which we can actually stay current on it, but also looking at other potential areas of maybe Linux on the middle tier. One of the other projects we have across all of our HSGB products is around single sign-on, so that will filter through all the products very shortly. And then in terms of productivity, one area is just like a single-click copy study. In many cases, companies have created sort of templates studies, and they'd like to be able to use a single-click copy study to copy everything from one of their sort of template studies that they have, and just to really set up a new study very quickly. Also, the next two around study export, import, and archiving. These are enhancements that are sort of driven or candidates in the backlog that are driven from the fact that one of our consulting organization has created sort of like a study export import utility in the past that was available through release 4.5.3, but then no longer available. So one of the things that we have been speaking with the various customers is that there's a desire to be able to support those types of features and capabilities in the base product, to be able to export import between instances, but also it could be in the scenarios of a sponsor working with a CRO, and as we see more and more of those types of outsourcing occurring, the ability to have various use cases to support maybe sending the library, sending the start of a study, maybe study metadata out to a CRO partner, have them conduct it and send it back. Various types of use cases that have been identified in that area. Then also in terms of study archival, be able to send the information, take maybe information out, and possibly being able to have that brought back in. It's still something that's not entirely certain how often that's done. We've always had requests for supporting industry standards like CDISC, ODM, or Bridge, something that's it's been on our backlog, just something that hasn't bubbled up to, let's say, the top of our priority list yet, but something that I'm always open to and looking at. And then in terms of integrations, we have a lot of interest in being able to continue to interface OCRDC with our existing like IRT system, as well as maybe Argus, our safety system, something that's also been on our backlog for a while. And so just to kind of that's kind of the key information that I wanted to pass on today around where we're headed in the future, where we're headed in the AMBER release, and then some of the things that we're looking on beyond that.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that. So before we move on to the Q&A session, I just want to remind everyone that you can ask questions via the chat feature. Other participants will not see who asked the question, but we will, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. I'm pretty confident we will not get through all of them because we have dozens of questions. So we will begin with the first question, and actually just wanted to say that I will be asking the questions as they were presented to me, and they may have also been answered during the presentation, so if there's any repetitiveness, I apologize. So on to the first question. What's Oracle's long-term plans to enhance RDC versus Inform?
This is Chris Wong. I'll take that question, obviously. That question gets asked a lot of times in terms of, are we planning to actually, enhance RDC and Inform, in lockstep with one another? And the response to that, the answer is really no, because first of all, both products have dedicated development teams and also just customer bases, and also the history between the two products are different. OCRDC started as a paper-based system that evolved and added RDC, and then Inform always started as an EDC system. Now we do work closely. I work very closely with my counterpart on the Inform side, who's Hanan Butler, and we were able to leverage a lot of things when we can. So when we had the desire to put in partial SDV, we were able to leverage the requirements that they already had in the Inform, and so it was able to really shortcut a lot of those activities, and it was really more of an activity of presenting what's being done in Inform to our OCRDC customer base, to our SDP, for example, to validate that, yeah, that makes sense for them as well, and it did. So that's kind of how we work. We work very closely to leverage where we can.
Great. This is a question that was asked by numerous people. What is the release date for AMBER, and is there any timeline for the updates that follow AMBER?
So yeah, obviously a key question that people would like to know about. So right now, the target release date for AMBER is Q4 of 2013. Great,
and I love this next question. An Oracle employee said that Phase Forward is the strategical product for Oracle now. Could you please comment?
Well, Phase Forward is the.
Well, I think they are talking about Inform versus RDC. There are some Oracle employees that are suggesting that the focus is now on Inform rather than RDC, which is not the case. So if you can address that.
Okay. So I mean, the reality is that Inform, RDC, they're both the products are key strategic products in our eClinical suite, and Inform is predominantly SaaS-based and hosted by Oracle SaaS-based solution. So it is our lead SaaS data collection solution, but OCRDC is definitely our lead on-premise solution for data capture. It's also for paper, hybrid, EDC studies. But the key thing is both products are very strategic products for within our eClinical suite.
Great, thank you. Do you know if Oracle has a plan to provide eSource solutions?
Well, we are always looking at ways to, well, I guess the question's around sort of capturing information directly from, let's say, EMR, EHR. We are, looking at that. I mean, there are challenges in that there's so many different, systems out there, EMR, EHR systems. So it is a bit of a challenge. I'm not sure if that's kind of what the question was around, but we envisioned that down the road there was probably going to be the desire to have information passed directly from the EMR, EHR systems into our data collection system.
Great, thank you. I think the next question is for Vicki. You mentioned that there are accelerators available. Can you explain what this is?
Yeah, we have a number of accelerators. Some of them would be, for example, our validation suite that we have developed. So if somebody is implementing their system or upgrading their system, these packages include standard requirements, traceability matrix, and test cases that would be executed to validate the system. Along with that, some of those are the products that we've developed. That would be, for example, Excel Account Manager. That's a product that we have developed to help customers have an easier way to actually create and manage their clinical accounts. That is for OCRDC and TMS. In that, lots of times, IT, because back-end accounts are required and things like that, and it requires specific DBA access or system access. Naturally, all those requests have to go through with Excel Account Manager. It kind of gives the ability for some of that to be done through a web front end and done either through an application support expert or something within the business group or within IT that could help the process. Along with that, we have tools like Excel Copy. This is a tool that was developed that will allow you to copy studies, say for example, from a production database to a test database. It brings your global library and all your data so that you could actually possibly troubleshoot in an environment like that, along with other products we have. So if there's other specific questions and things that person has, Eugene, I'll be glad to follow up with them afterwards.
Great, thank you. Next question, is it possible to upload a file in OCRDC?
I mean, if it's in regards to similarly the document attachment feature that I have on the candidates for the future, that is something that we are potentially looking at. At the same time, I do know that we have other partners that have actually built sort of a document attachment feature, and so if there's interested in getting more details about that, feel free to contact me and I can provide what you could do today.
Great. And I think the same person asked, is it possible to import an ODM file?
That is something that, again, is you saw sort of on the previous slide. It's sort of like a candidate for the future. Now, it's something that's been on our backlog for a while. It's not something that's supported today, but something that we are considering. As a candidate, if we in our release cycle, we get those that requirement prioritized high enough, we can definitely do that. There's been requests in the past from various companies to be able to support maybe importing information from, let's say, a protocol design tool, or just be able to share information between various instances using an ODM format. But so the answer is not today. Again, last comment I'll make is I am aware of partners that have done it, that work very closely with OCRDC and have done it as sort of like a, obviously it's a customized solution.
All right. Next question: what is partial source data verification feature?
What is it? Okay,
Yeah,
I guess it is.
I'm not sure what that's exactly in reference to, but that's how the question was stated. We can move on if that's not enough information.
Well, no, I mean, I guess if it's just, if it's just, maybe I wasn't clear on the feature that's coming out, but basically it's the, collectively it's going to be features to be able to support the sort of the reducer risk-based monitoring guidance from regulators, so that within RDC, you'll be able to define what the SDV plan is, so that you can specify, for example, maybe a sampling rate up front of maybe 20% of your patients will get 100% SDV, and then after you sample that, if you need to adjust that, do you want to decrease that? And you can also do things where you can say that I want 100% of particular forms as well to be done. But really, it's to support the trend in the industry to move away from 100% SDV, which a lot of customers already have, and they're doing it by process. But now within the system, to be able to define those rules, and then within the interface, if you're a monitor to be going in, so you could see which ones have been, which patients and which forms have been identified to perform SDV on, but not all of it.
Great.
I hope that makes it clear.
The next question is there an upgrade path from prior versions, such as is there an upgrade path from, for example, 4.5.3 to Amber? Will there be such an upgrade path?
Well, there are currently, obviously, there's upgrade paths from 4.5.3 to 4.6. So therefore, the recommendation would be the requirement would be that you'd have to first, it would be like a two-step process for a customer that's upgrading from 4.5.3 to 5.0. They would have to first go to sort of an intermediary upgrade, and then to go to 5.0.
Great. The next question is, we are just now upgrading to 4.6.x currently and are considering maintaining 4.5.3 throughout existing study lives. Can you tell me what, if any, support will be available for 4.5.3 in the future?
Well, so actually, 4.5.3, or I should say 4.5x, like 4.5.1, 2, and 3, they actually went into sustaining support as of September of last year. So actually, we gave actual notifications and alerts to customers, giving them a heads up that 4.5x would be entering sustaining support as of September of last year. So once the product moves off of premier support, it's actually not going to be any new patches or fixes to it. It would just be there'll be sustaining support where they can call in and get assistance and help on that release, but it's they're entitled to existing fixes if there are any, but new patches or fixes would not be made on products that are on sustaining support.
Okay. Will you make standard summary reports available by default, like demographics, visit compliance, AEs?
Will we make
standard summary reports available by default, like demographics, visit compliance, AEs?
Well, I mean, that's not something that we have slated for the Amber release. We have received enhancement requests in the past similar to this, so it's definitely something we can consider for the release post Amber.
Great. Next question. With Amber, does it have a functionality to ease the migration of data whenever we have amendments?
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Sure. With Amber, does it have a functionality to ease the migration of data whenever we have amendments?
To ease the migration of data?
Yeah.
I guess I would need to have a little bit more understanding what the current challenges they may be experiencing in performing a protocol amendment.
Sure. So if that person wants to follow up with a question, that would be great. Are there any plans to enhance branching functionality? For example, branching does not work on RQG.
Repeat that last part.
Sure. Are there any plans to enhance branching functionality? For example, branching does not work on RQG.
Okay. Repeating question group, okay. At the moment, we don't have it planned in the it's not in the Amber release. Again, it's definitely something we can look at, possibly for post Amber again.
Okay. What are your plans for? Sorry. What are your plans for CDISC bridge integration? So
one of the things is, again, I gave sort of one use case where there are some companies that want to be able to, import, let's say, protocol definitions from some type of protocol design tool into OC. And then also just other companies have had requests to be able to export ODM to feed into some of their reporting and dashboards and analytics tools that they provide. So those are some of the key use cases that we have to support. Now, I will say that, and something that I've mentioned in the past is that one of the things is that OC RDC doesn't, the data model doesn't match up directly to the CDISC model. The fact that we have the DCI, DCM question groups, that sort of layer there, that additional layer there, it doesn't perfectly match up. So when you want to, if we were to take any particular approach of supporting it, we would have to come up with a convention that we would want to import in a particular format or export to be able to match up when it's coming in or when it's being exported out. So again, those are kind of some of the key use cases and something that it's still on our backlog and something to consider.
Great, thank you. So I'll ask another 2 questions before we end it, just because we're almost out of time. And these questions are basically RDC versus Inform. So how can I make an informed decision on the purchase of RDC or Inform? Is there a comparison of systems on the Oracle website?
Actually, I don't think that there's a comparison between the 2 systems, but we have our solutions consulting team with along with our account management team. They have gone into various accounts to be able to present both. So they'll bring like an Inform sales solutions consultant as well as an RDC solutions consultant, and they're all the same team. They work closely. They're able to present both and kind of talk about the capabilities of both, and also compare and contrast. Also, what are the needs of your company to best understand how what makes sense for you. So if you want to, you could definitely reach out to through BioPharm or reach directly to me, and I could provide the account management person responsible for your region or for your organization, and they can definitely come out and spend the time to help you make that decision.
Great. And the final question I have is, how do Inform customers compare to OC customers number-wise?
I actually personally I don't have insight on the number of Inform customers there are. I just know that on the OC side I know what number of customers that we have, but I don't know how actually number-wise it compares, to be quite honest.
Fantastic. Okay. So it looks like we have used up the allotted time we've had for this particular webinar, so that'll end our Q&A portion. We definitely did not get through all the questions, that's for sure, but we'll reach out to you and answer any questions you have. If you do have other questions in addition to the ones you've already asked, please feel free to contact us. Currently we have Vicki Greene, who's in charge of our North American Canada territory, and then we have Rudolph Coetzee, who's in charge of EMEA. And you can email us at info@biopharm You can also email Chris at chris.wong@oracle.com. That's Chris, C-H-R-I-S .HUANG @oracle.com if you have any questions. We thank you so much for your participation and hope that the information we provided you with today was helpful. We'll post the webinar on biopharm.com within 24 hours for you to review and share with your colleagues. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of the day and evening.